Oh, hello. Good morning. Good afternoon. Where did I go? There I am. All right. Welcome. Thanks for joining. I'm back in the studio today. It looks like things are mostly back up and running in here. Things are quite different now. I will show you around a little bit once we get into things. Everything is very manual still, so you may see much less polish here compared to normal because I have no buttons in front of me. I have no fancy automations, so I'm sitting here clicking buttons in the software control, and we're just going to do this live. So if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. Make sure you start with the letter Q. I think it prompts you for that now, which is kind of cool. New YouTube feature. And does this button work? No, it doesn't. Some of my buttons are back up, some of them are not. Starting to mess with the letter Q, it filters on my screen here so I can see it a little bit easier. But we are going to take a look at some of the questions, chat about what's new, what I've been up to. Take a look at the YoloBox, YoloBox Mini rather, which is got some pretty significant updates, and it is now a switcher with, you can choose multiple video sources, but we'll take a look at that in a little bit, and lots of good stuff there to share as well. So let me take a look really quick. I saw some questions coming in during the countdown timer. I think my comment overlay it works. Let's see. Here's a question from NewsFan. Yes, it does. Does it make sense to encode with an external encoder as opposed to the built-in one used in the ATEM Extreme? The ATEM Extreme, that means you've got the 8 inputs. So I think most of the time you're probably going to want to use the built-in. The only time that you would really want to use something different is if you are streaming to a destination that cannot handle the variable bitrate. So both the ATEM Extreme and the web presenter do variable bitrate encoding, meaning the amount of bandwidth it uses to encode the video stream will vary based on what it's encoding. So right now I've got mine, I'm streaming from the web presenter. This is up to 6 megabits and it's hovering right about 6.23, 6.26, and it goes up and down with this scene. If I switch to a scene that has flat graphics like a title card or the map, for example, then it'll drop way down to like a megabit or less because it doesn't need to waste all the bandwidth encoding still pictures. So in that case, some platforms, especially YouTube, will complain about the bitrate. And if I show you I got to get these buttons up fast because we're going to do that in a second. Let me click Alt Tab. Computer is this one. So if I show you the computer screen, this is what I'm staring at right now, which, oh my gosh, so many buttons. But here is what I wanted to show you. You'll get warnings in YouTube that like, oh, this is lower than recommended. Now, nothing actually happens. YouTube just whines about it, but it's fine, which is why I don't care and I do it anyway. But if some platforms will like reject it or just not work at all. So that's the reason to use a external. And now we go back here. Yeah, I got to get my Stream Deck buttons set up again. So we might do that real quick. No worries, we are here for it. Let the fun begin. Yeah, this is going to be one of those streams. I did get the basics running though. So I'm streaming today. What I am using is I am streaming with oh, and now I realize I don't have a camera pointing at my desk yet. Still working, getting things put together. I am streaming with everything is running through the 2ME that's on loan from DVE Store while I wait for the 4ME that I purchased. Still no word on that, but 2ME is up and running. I've got 20 ins, 12 outs. They're not all full yet. I've got a few cameras wired in. I've got the multi-view in front of me. My computer screen is here. I do wish I could show you that. I do have a wireless camera, so that's what I can do for now. I put my little SDI receiver wired in, so I should be able, yeah, there it is. Camera 11. Where did it go? It was there a second ago. Weird. the receiver just rebooted. Okay, lovely. Channel 1, it lost the link. It's right there. I can see it. Well, so much for that. Where's my backup? You know what? I can, oh, there it goes. All right. So I can show you from this camera what I'm looking at. Oh my gosh. That's not good. Why is it blacking out? What am I doing wrong? I've used this thing for ages and never had a problem with it before. I wonder if it's the power source, actually. I bet it's the power that I gave it because I didn't give it the normal power supply that I use with it. Let me go grab, oh, I have a battery here. I'm going to plug this battery in to the receiver and see if that's the problem. Cross your fingers. The screen looks brighter. I have a feeling that's what it was. Come on, you can do it. Okay, backup plan is, let's see if I can get this working. Do I? No, I have my phone. That's what I'm going to use. Because I also have my my RTMP receivers wired in here again. So I can do all sorts of fun stuff. Oh, the signal came back, but let's get this up and running too. Connections going to the Pro convert, yep. And streaming, there we go, that one worked. Okay, this is my phone's camera, streaming to the Magewell. So this is what I'm looking at. The multi-view over there, and then my computer screen. And the web presenter is up here, showing me the status of the stream. I can see the audio levels. I can see the on-air and the bitrate. And that's also, of course, the camera behind there, the main camera. And I now have a secondary camera pointing at the desk, giving you that shot. And I have a top-down camera. So it's up there on that pole with that microphone, which I'm also using today. And over here is the rack that now lives on this side. That is the gear that's running. So we've got the audio mixer, which is way overkill for what I'm doing today, which is just one microphone, but soon it'll make sense. Then we've got the 2ME. We've got the HyperDex, the web presenter, again, over there. And these two screens are now actually hardwired into the multi-view for the 2ME ATEM. That is actually something that I'm a little bit disappointed about the new Constellation HDs, which is the multi-views on them are separate outputs, like separate jacks, and you can't use the aux outs as multi-views, which means I don't get the ability to anymore randomly switch monitors between multi-view and not multi-view built in, like you can on the ATEM Mini Extremes. So that's a bummer, but I will just learn to live with it. So yes, John, that is the switcher setup today. I don't have a gear diagram yet because still wiring it, but I might be able to make one soon. And yes, this is the 2ME on loan from DVE Store. Thanks for that, because that's super helpful. And until the 4ME, which I ordered from them, eventually it will arrive. Can you not wire the multi-view into an input then route it separately? Yeah, so I can, which I kind of did do in a roundabout way here, because I do have another device here, which I forgot to show you. I forgot to mention that not part of this stream, but still part of wired in, is the ATEM SDI Pro ISO on, of course, the PK1 stand. So I can put a monitor on top of it. So that is, I just bought that. It showed up last week at some point. The way I have this wired is it's actually got all four of the inputs are coming out of the Constellation 2ME. Camera 1, I should rename that because it's not camera 1. In fact, let me do that right now. Camera 1, which will soon be called program. This is the, well, it's actually like an aux 1 out of the Constellation, but it is set to the program feed. And then the camera 2 and 3 are my actual camera 2 and camera 3, same, mirroring the same cameras that are in the main Constellation. But the camera 4 is actually the multi-view. And that one I can't change randomly. I can't reassign it. So let's see. Now the labels match. So I can't reassign the multi-view one. That is hardwired, but I can change what the other three are. And what this lets me do is, one, this is actually powering the monitor that's in front of me. So if I show you this monitor, that's actually coming out of that ATEM, not the Constellation. So I can change what's on this monitor by going like this, like this, like this. So depending on what I want it to do, I can either show the multi-view there of the Constellation, or I can show one of the cameras, or like my computer screen, or whatever I have routed through. Or of course I could switch to the multi-view of the ISO, which looks similar but different. And this, now I've got the, it's streaming, it's not recording, and I got the audio meters from the SDI ISO. But I'm gonna leave it like this for me so I can see the multi-view of the Constellation. And that is how I'm able to reassign the monitors. Now these buttons don't work yet, so I need to go and manually connect back here. I also didn't even plug in mix effect yet, which I probably should, because at least then I'd have some buttons that are not tied to a computer. I'm not even sure if I updated mix effect to handle the Constellation version yet, because I think he just shipped that recently. Yeah, we're gonna do that later. So that's the deal. That's the deal. And yeah, the idea with the ISO here, my plan with it long term is that it is for ISO recording. So I'm gonna have the 4 outputs running into that. And the multi-view is an experiment. I may leave it there, or I may get a new one and dedicate it to that. But the point is that I'll be able to record 4 of the outputs out of the Constellation whenever I'm doing recordings. I figured that's probably enough. I don't actually use more than 4 most of the time when I'm recording ISO tracks. So that's the deal. TVJ says, what's the exact color of your background wall? I really like it. This is I went to the paint store. I don't know where my paint chips went, or my color chart. I took the color chart, a color chart with me to the paint store, and I compared each paint chip against the middle gray on the paint chip, on the color chart. So I found a paint that was as close as possible. And I also asked the people at the store, show me the families of grays that have the least amount of additional colors in, like the most neutral flat gray. And that is the color. So it's meant to be exactly middle. And that way I can light it. So depending on how I have the room or the subject lit, it can look way darker or way brighter. And I can throw color onto it as well. And I normally have I guess it's right here. It's not really set up, but here's an example where it's just a lot brighter, but I can also make it colorful. And I actually have some other lighting going on here, so this is quite different than normal. But if I turn off that one, that's going to darken the room, and that looks a little bit closer to normal. There's also a window open, so that's some of that, the reason this is brighter, because I can't reach the window because there's too much stuff piled in front of it right now. But yeah, I was experimenting with a different style though of brightening up the room by doing this, so we'll see. Okay, what other questions did we get in here? Oh, Scott says, I did the same thing with my computer room photo studio. The walls are really dark if not actively lit. Yeah, if you don't have ambient light, then they do look pretty dark because they don't reflect light the same way that white walls do. But I like it. It's a nice accent wall. I do not have the Rodecaster, David. I still have never bought one. I've never owned one. Nope. I'm using the Behringer X32, just upgraded from the smaller one, mainly because that one lets me grab audio digitally from the ATEM 4ME. Unfortunately, the 2ME does not have it, so I can't play around with that yet. But eventually, the idea is to grab audio digitally into that and mix all of the ATEM's audio sources in that, which is going to be a really cool thing. But in the meantime, I'm just using it for the audio from the microphone here, as well as from the Ultra Studio, which is what runs the countdown music and sound effects and things like that. Shane and Hannah says, looking at getting an ATEM Mini Pro for the church, how does picture-in-picture work? How does it work? Let me see if I can demo. Do I have a way to route? No, I don't remember if I have a way to route the... No, I don't have the ATEM SDI Pro ISO output going into the stream. But I can show you on the big ATEM. It's the same. It's all the same on all the ATEMs. It's just that some of the ATEMs, the bigger ones, have more of the things that let you do this compared to others. Let me do this by setting up a picture-in-picture so I can show you the computer screen. So we're gonna start by switching to the computer screen. Of course, on the smaller ATEMs, you will have fewer buttons, but don't worry about that for now. In fact, let's just do this. Let's do that. That way it doesn't look quite as overwhelming. The okay, so we're here, and then the way picture-in-picture works is it uses what's called the upstream key. So on the ATEM Mini, the small one, the 4-input ones, you have one upstream key. That's it. So you're only going to have one of these options and only one of these buttons. They should call this upstream key, but it's called next transition for some reason. This corresponds to your upstream keys. So you can use the upstream key in either Luma, Chroma, Pattern, or DVE mode. Luma and Chroma are for removing either colors or dark parts of the image to give you transparency, to overlay things. For picture-in-picture, you would use Pattern or DVE. So for example, we can start with DVE and show you how that works. Fill source is what you want to be the inside picture, and it's set to camera 2 because that is my face. So if I turn this on, I should pop up somewhere. Yeah. So you can position it. You can go up and down. You can scale it. You can also add a border. You can also add a shadow, although you don't seem to be able to blur it, which is kind of awkward. Or you can mask. So if I don't want, for example, the full width, I can make it like, I can do like that, crop it in a little bit, or even further and make it almost like a vertical, right? That border is a little bit thick. Oh, cool. Outer width and inner width. Oh, and the border you can soften. That's cool. So you get some effects or opacity. Kind of nice. That's DVE. Pattern, on the other hand, it's similar, but this gives you all these different shapes. So I like the circle one. You can also do weird things like that, which make more sense when you're using them in an animation. But you can do different shapes like this, again, choosing the size of the shape. And, oh, no, I don't remember what round was. Weird, 80? I don't know why it's 80. You can also blur it. So cool effects in the pattern thing. Flying key is the thing that is making it let me move it. So scale it, move it around. That's picture-in-picture. So to turn it on and off, you just tap the on-air button, or you can tie it to a transition if you want. But because obviously it takes a little while to set this up and get it looking right, you definitely will want to save these settings in a macro. So for that, if you open up the macro, it looks like I did this at some point. I made a macro for this, for the settings. Record all of these settings into a macro, especially if you only have one upstream key, because if you ever change the upstream key to something else, you're going to lose all those settings, right? If you are repurposing it for some other thing during the show, then you get a button, macro button, which will set all the settings again and then bring it on the air, and then you basically get a picture-in-picture button on your whatever you're using to control your Stream Deck or whatever. Oh, and I see this comment down here. Super Source is the way to go with the ATEM Extreme. Yes, for the ATEM Mini Extreme, it has the Super Source feature. This one also does, so I can do that instead. Super Source makes this way easier to manage. If you have the ATEM Mini Extreme, or if you're thinking about getting it, this is one of the big reasons to get it, in my opinion, because this gives you much better options than the picture-in-picture. So I'll turn this off. I think my Super Source is a mess right now, but let's switch to it anyway. So I'm going to press the Super Source button. On the ATEM Mini Extreme and the ATEM 2ME, there is one Super Source generator. So I'll cut to that, but let's explain what's going on. There are 4 boxes. Let's see, I need to get my computer screen back in here. So we're going to do this so you can see it. So there are 4 boxes, and you can turn any of them on or off. You get box 1, 2, 3, 4. Right now I have box 1 and 2 are on. 3 is not. Box 1 is set to my computer, and this is where my computer screen is there. I need to get my background graphics loaded in, which is annoying. I don't know why. Oh, right, because the Constellation also doesn't save your images, which is like they have the technology, so I don't know why they chose to not include that in the constellations. Okay, here is my background, and we're gonna do that, and now the Super Source has a nice background. So here's the art fill from the media. You can place it in the foreground or background. This is just a graphic, so it goes in the background. But this is what lets you do these nicer layouts. They're overlapping right now. I would usually do it like a side-by-side. So I might crop the person's face to be like that. Probably a little more. Let's go to 8. Also, if you're using Mix Effect, this is way easier to do. I just don't have mine connected yet. So we're going to put it up like that in the middle. And then actually I'm going to go over to the other side because I kind of look towards, when I'm looking towards the screen, I want to be looking towards the screen on the stream also. Oops. And then we're going to go to box 1 and get the computer screen out of the way and down there, and then maybe make it a little bit bigger. So let's go like that. And yeah. So now I've got this side-by-side layout. And the nice thing about this is the Super Source, it's different from the upstream key because this now is a video source I can switch to. So I can go switch to cam 2, switch back to Super Source, and it's like saved there. It's different from the upstream key, which is like a layer that you turn on and off. So this is like, it is there. It is not recorded in the ISO track. It's not recorded as an ISO track in the Extreme. I wish it was, but you could always output from one of your HDMIs back in, or now SDI, back into the Extreme if you wanted to record that channel. So that was the quick demo. Maybe that wasn't so quick, but hopefully that was useful. Okay, let me go back to the comments since I was not looking at the comments. Yes, Super Source is the way to go. Oh, and Graham was pointing out something I forgot to mention. On the physical device of the ATEM, okay, this camera has not disconnected this whole time, so I can use this one. I think it was the power source was just not good enough. So let's go. Yeah. on the actual device, the ATEM SDI, as well as the non-SDI and the Extreme. Oh, focus. Those picture-in-picture buttons. Those are essentially presets. So it's like presets that you can't change, but it will set the upstream key properties to basically the corner things, and you can turn it on and off. I don't like them very much. I always want my picture-in-pictures to be just a little bit different, so I never use them. But yes, I did forget about that, and Graham pointed it out. Okay, other things about this. No. Okay. Am I going to sell the older ATEM Mini switchers? I don't know yet. Probably not. Maybe. I don't know. Everything is now SDI in here, which is great. And that's why I got the ATEM SDI, the 4-input one, so I can use it as an ISO recorder without running it through converters. That's great. I'm probably going to keep... well, maybe I will sell the HDMI ISO because it's I will have much less use for that one now. But one of the things that the small ATEM Mini can do, which I still will probably end up using somewhere, is using it just as a switcher for a monitor. So like if I need to throw a monitor on the wall somewhere and change what's showing on the monitor, then I'll probably use that. And then I guess, yeah, I still have the ATEM Mini Extreme, but that's the one that I have, and I want to be able to still like do demos and stuff with it. So probably hold on to that one. Tech Condo, good day, being fashionably late. Welcome, thank you for joining. Oh, Malin says, a photo 18% gray card reflects back 18% of the light that hits it, and it's actually the geometric mean between white paper and black ink. Well, there you go. Is there a macro recall button on the original ATEM Mini and the ATEM Mini Pro? No, that was one of the things that I mentioned in the wish list video a long time ago, which was macro buttons. And then they did add macro buttons to the Extreme. But at that point, I had started moving all of my control into the Stream Deck with Companion, so I've never actually used the macro buttons personally. Oh well. I still think it's a good idea though. Where is my Extreme? Oh, it's way up there on the shelf. Oh yeah, I can show you the shelf. So the other angle that I'm working on in here is this camera, and I've got a separate desk over here now, and that is for, this is probably what you'll see when I'm doing edited videos talking to the camera, not live streams. So we'll see how that goes, but that's my thought there. David says, do you think there's a big difference in image quality between a GH5 compared to its bridge camera brother FC2500? I've never used that camera, so I don't know, but I'm seeing other people are commenting in here. Philip, thank you. With good lighting, it'll look similar to the GH4, which is similar to the GH5, but with poor lighting, doesn't do as well. Good, thanks. I have not used that other camera, so I have no experience with that. Keith says, I live stream a lot of hockey. I would like to add instant replay. Is that something the ATEM is capable of? Not really. There's no way to play back any videos from within the ATEM at all. That always has to be done with a separate device. So you can kind of hack together a replay feature with the HyperText. They're not really made for that, and it's not great, and it's kind of an expensive way to do it. But unfortunately, that's like one of those things that you really need specialized hardware or software for. So you would do that in a separate external device of some sort, giving it an output from your ATEM, running it back into one of the ATEMs. So the small ATEM is going to be pretty limiting because you are only you only have 4 inputs. One would be for the replay feedback. But the new SDI version actually has 2 SDI outputs on the small ATEM, which is super, super cool. And I'm really glad they did that. I'm actually using that feature right now because I've got the, where is this camera? So there's 6 things plugged in there, 4 cameras, ins, 2 outs. One of the outputs goes to the screen up on top, and the other one goes to a converter that goes to this monitor over here. So that means I can actually show different things on those 2 screens, which is really nice. So if I wanted to, I can change, well, these buttons affect only the one of the outputs, and the other one you control from software. But I can change what goes onto the big monitor over here and keep that up on the screen there. But that means if you're using that for recording, like, or running into an instant replay thing, you can, you will always be recording a dedicated output instead of like the program, which is kind of cool, because you could leave the replay locked onto a camera rather than having it record whatever is being switched to. Bailey says, do you have any live gigs coming up similar to the poker one you did a few months back? Sort of. Let me see if I can find the link, because it is now public and I should be able to link to it if I can. Here it is. I have a gig that I'm doing with Photo Joseph. That is ResolveCon. Link is in the chat. Which is going to be a hybrid and in-person event, and it is coming up in October 1st and 2nd, live on YouTube and in person. And Photo Joseph and I are going to be the behind-the-scenes crew making the stream happen. So that is going to be pretty cool. I am looking forward to that. It's going to be down like at a location, so we're going to have to bring a bunch of gear and stuff, which we've sort of started to work out, but it's still far enough away that we haven't made the full pack list yet. But yeah, going to be fun. So if you are interested in learning about Resolve, you can join live or in person. So take a look at that link. Yeah, looking forward to it. Along those lines, what setup do you have for live events for your clients? I haven't been doing much of that lately other than my own shows, just because I do have a totally unrelated full-time job, and I have been not doing live conference recording nearly as much as I used to. I used to do it several times a year. It was also kind of a side thing for a while, but that was either the big rack, like 4U rack with the ATEM Television Studio HD and a hyperdeck. I was actually using the Sling Studio for the streaming part if I was doing that, because that was one of the easiest and smallest live streaming pieces of gear that I liked a lot. And then the other, if I was doing a smaller event, it would be just on the Sling Studio. Or I started bringing the ATEM Mini to a couple of them before all the in-person events shut down. But yeah, I don't know. I think if I were doing this today, it would be obviously very different. It would depend on the client, depend on the length of the event. I tend to have much less patience for bringing gear that's going to require a lot of setup time if the event is very short. I don't want to spend an hour setting up an event that lasts an hour. So I might bring the YoloBox and 1 or 2 cameras for an hour-long event. If I'm doing a full-day conference, I would probably bring some sort of ATEM rig, although I haven't built a portable ATEM rig in a while now, so not sure what I would throw into that. Interesting though. Oh, Gramps says, do you know what time of day and time zone ResolveCon will be? I don't know the time of day. If the schedule is not on the website yet, it'll probably get updated soon, but it is going to be in Pacific time zone. We're going to be down in Eugene. So it'll be local time same as Portland time. And it looks like the tickets for in-person are $49 and it's free for watching the live stream. You will have to register, but it's free, so that's cool. Bailey says, are you still trying to sell your Pocket 4K? If so, what price? I am. I have a couple of things that I've posted now for sale on this website. I'm going to drop the link to my online shop here. I really need to make a button for my Stream Deck. This is the online shop that I link to all the stands and everything else, merch. But down here, I've got gear that I'm selling. So someone just bought this on last week, and I'm shipping it out tomorrow. Sorry if you're watching this, I haven't shipped it yet. It's because I was out of town. Just got back. It's on its way to you soon. But yeah, the Pocket 4K and the TV Studio HD, those are now, I'm going to sell those. This is with the modded fans. If you want the original fans, I can send those to you because I still have them, but you probably want the quiet ones because it's a lot better with the quiet fans. But yeah, I think it's time to let this go. I did use it obviously in this live stream for quite a while, but the 2ME and the 4ME are gonna basically mean that I don't need that anymore at all. So it will do all of its job. Yeah, it would probably cost a couple $100 to get it shipped over the pond to Australia. I would not recommend buying it if you're in Australia, sorry. Although, if I am coming to Australia, I might be able to be convinced to bring it with me. But I don't know when that's going to be. Oh, can you use the multiple YoloBoxes on the same account? You can, and they sync the events between them. So when you are scheduling an event, those will appear across all of them because those are like tied to the online thing. And the streaming destinations get saved between them. So if you've got it connected to a YouTube account or got it connected to a YouTube RTMP endpoints, those are all saved across the different they'll show up on whatever YoloBox you've logged into, which is very cool. Am I planning on using NDI in your setup? Why or why not? I am not planning to, other than for specific things here and there. I do have the NDI receiver, the Magewell, which is also what I was streaming to from my phone, but that was actually over RTMP. It would also work with, it also works over NDI, so I could have used NDI camera on my phone. I have not designed this studio around NDI, and that's very intentional. I don't want to do that. I don't want to deal with, you have to have really, you can't just like casually throw NDI streams around on a network because they're very high bandwidth. So you really have to plan your network architecture also to handle it. It's kind of like running cables. You can't just like, randomly run a new cable. You can't just be like, oh, and I need another camera from here to there. You have to run a cable for it. And it's a little bit easier over NDI, but not so easy. And I just don't want to deal with that. And I like the real SDI cables, more hardwired stuff. Neil says, you could keep the TV studio and do a retro stream in 10 years or so. True. I actually still have the original TV studio, the one that only goes up to 1080i, and it's a 1U, but it's like super shallow. It's like this thin, and it's got I think it was like 6 SDI ports on it. I want to say, I think it was 4 HDMI, 4 SDI, but 2 of them were overlapping, so you could use up to 6 sources and switch 2 of them between SDI or HDMI. Really old thing. I did a bunch of events on that actually, and then I still have it, and I haven't plugged it in years. I don't think it's worth anything anymore. I don't think it's very useful anymore either because it can't even do 1080p. But that could be fun to do as a retro. interesting question from David. How do you usually broach the question when you're at a conference, you're planned to do a video recording of the event? Do you have a pre-drafted contract or confidentiality agreement? The whenever I've done two different things with this. If I'm filming an actual event, then they hired me and they're paying me to do the recordings, and I have like a minimal contract for that. There's no confidentiality in these because they're typically public conferences anyway, so there's no reason nothing is confidential, so that's not a concern. The other time I've recorded things at conferences is recording my own talks. So like if the conference is not recording, if they're not doing their own recordings and I want to record the talk for whatever reason, I have brought like a camera and a wireless mic, usually not any amount of other gear because I just want it to be really simple, but I'll take it like a camcorder, put it at the back of the room, use a wireless mic. I've either recorded my screen on my own computer, like with the screen recording software, or just edited the slides in later. And for those, I have no agreement with the conference other than a verbal, like, hey, can I come record my own talk? Because I'm not recording anybody else's. And those are also public events, and that's the reason I'm recording it, so I can put it on YouTube later. You'll find a couple of those if you search around hard enough on YouTube. Are you still waiting for the Bird Dog Play, or did you cancel your order? I am still waiting on it. I keep getting updates saying, it's coming at the end of the month. It's coming at the end of the month. No, it's not coming yet. I don't know. We'll see what happens. The reason I'm getting it is because I think it is, assuming it does what it says it does, it'll be the cheapest way to get an NDI feed into HDMI. So I am, like I said, I didn't design my studio around NDI, but I don't mind using it here and there for certain things. And especially if I can recommend uses of it to people. So that's why I'm getting it, because I think it's going to be a good way to get an NDI feed into a regular broadcast hardware setup too. Thank you for the reminder, Bailey. Remember to hit the thumbs up button. 120 viewers and 16 likes. Let's give this a thumbs up. That way I don't have to insert an ad into it. There's a new button on YouTube for inserting ads too, which I'm really curious what that does to the live viewers. If they just like come back and they've missed it, I don't know. Good question. If Yololiv would ever go out of business, I would no longer be able to use the device, right? I believe that is true because the first thing you have to do when you get the YoloBox is log in. If you're already logged in, then obviously it doesn't need their support unless you're using their multi-streaming service. So if you're streaming to multiple locations, then that does run through their systems. So I can actually show this to you on my top-down camera. This is all the different places I've set up to stream to, and there is a mode of direct streaming. So if I go into streaming mode, direct single platform will bypass their servers and go directly to one location. If I use their multi-streaming service, then obviously I need their service to continue to exist. So I believe if you're already logged in and they go out of business, this will probably still work as direct, but I wouldn't count on it for very long. And I would say it is tied to their service existing. That said, I don't necessarily think that's actually bad because a lot of things are like that, even if they feel like they're not. Like Blackmagic is a good example. Obviously, like none of the hardware that I've got here will stop working if Blackmagic shuts off their cloud systems, which aren't really tied to the streaming hardware, but now they are used for like the new syncing NAS thing. But what will stop working eventually if Blackmagic goes out of business is they will not be able to ship software updates for the software on a computer that controls it. So eventually it will also stop working, probably on a much longer time scale. So probably got several years in there of being able to use it if they go out of business, but it's not as black and white as it might be. So yeah. Oh, good question from David J. if you had 2 to 3 YoloBoxes in different parts of the world on the same account, can I switch between the YoloBoxes? You can, and that's actually now also part of the YoloBox Mini. So I wish I need this lens to be just a little bit more zoomed in. But on the YoloBox Mini, there is a new section here for switching between different sources. I've got HDMI and USB plugged in. USB is actually the ATEM over there, and the HDMI is just coming out of the switcher. But you can also go add a video source here. And one of the things you can do is add what's called LIVESTREAM. What this is if other YoloBoxes of yours are signed into the same account and are live using their streaming service, they will appear here. And that'll show up as a video source. So I'm trying to think if I have enough things to do that. I actually did a demo of this with Photo Joseph. Let me just go find that link really quick, because we did demo this a little bit ago. And it is in fact very cool. YoloBox to YoloBox, can you live stream from one to another? Here we go. And it'll do basically exactly what you're saying. There we go. Okay, that's in the chat. It does basically exactly what you're saying of you can treat the other YoloBoxes as remote cameras and switch to them. So it's very cool. It's very cool. Oh, another YoloBox question from earlier, which I totally missed. So is the most recent YoloBox Mini update a fix for all the limitations that essentially were disallowing mimicking what the original YoloBox with all the updates currently exists today? Yes. So basically, what the YoloBox Mini added, the UI for it is just a little bit different because of the screen size, but what they added is this tab that is the video switcher tab. So on the YoloBox Pro, there's like a sidebar with the controls for everything, and on the Mini, the sidebar appears and disappears just because the screen is so much smaller. But this is new, and this adds all the stuff that's in the Pro. You've got the side-by-side layouts, the news layouts, picture-in-picture, graphics from a PDF, SD card video. It's all here now in the Mini. And obviously there's only one HDMI port, but there is USB, so you can still hardwire 2 cameras. This is the ATEM SDI Pro ISO plugged in right now over that cable, so that works fine. And I can cut to that here. That is, and then I can switch on the ATEM. I'm switching cameras now to change what goes into the YoloBox Mini, which is very cool. I can even show you the multi-view because that's one of the inputs in the ISO. But yeah, the Mini is basically a full video switcher now. It's incredible. It's super cool. So it's got all of those features, plus all the graphics stuff like before, of course. So, countdown timer and whatever. Oh, and it even has the remote guests. So I can now invite remote guests in also and switch to that's where they join from a browser, and then switch to them as a source. So it is kind of incredible. Does the remote connection work with different models of the YoloBox Mini connecting to the Pro? I believe it does, because it doesn't have anything to do with the hardware. Why don't I just get my Pro out and we can actually check? I don't have any other wires to connect here, but I guess I could plug in this camera. I've got more cameras. What am I talking about? I'm running out of cables though. No, all the wires are missing. I don't know where they went. And I don't have the YoloBox stand in front of me either. And yes, David, the YoloBox Pro does work the same as the Mini, so the features I was talking about are in there too. Alex says, would you use the YoloBox as your primary streaming device for most gigs? How does the quality hold up against the Web Presenter HD, and does it allow network bonding? You can sideload Speedify into the YoloBox Pro. It's not exactly the same as network bonding, and of course you're limited to its types of connections. So there's a SIM slot, there's a Wi-Fi antenna, there's a Ethernet jack. That's not, so you can't bond multiple cell connections. But the if you need the network bonding feature, I would probably go with a real network bonding hardware, just because that's going to do that job better. But as far as the quality against the web presenter, definitely not the same quality at all. Again, the web presenter is like a variable bitrate encoder. It does only that. You've got the nice stats display on it. The YoloBox, it has multiple modes of encoding, variable bitrate or others. As far as the quality goes, like honestly, it seems fine. I haven't done like a detailed comparison of the compression between the two, but I've been perfectly happy with the quality of the YoloBox streaming. A bunch of my streams in the last couple of months have been using the YoloBox as the encoder because I've been on the road and I'm not in the studio, and the studio's been torn apart for so long. So yeah, I think it's perfectly fine. Michael says, I like the countdown timer. Is it built in? Yes, that is part of the YoloBox feature. So let me actually go grab the Pro so I can show you this a little bit better. And let me label this one so I don't forget which one's which. Okay, I'm going to make these Stream Deck buttons next because this is getting out of control. So this is what I mean by it has a sidebar where like these are always present then. So this is built in, this countdown timer, and if you edit, you can change the colors and the fonts, the time, and you can add background music. So I've got my countdown music on here, and that will play along with the countdown timer. So you can just tap it, and there it goes. So with that, let me do this. Let me make sure I'm using the multi-stream service. So we're going to go streaming mode using Yololiv. Because once I do that, I'm not going to set any destinations. So it's going to stream to just to their cloud. And if I hit go live, it's not going to YouTube or anything, but it's going up to the cloud. So this is now running. It's going. So I'm going to leave that here. And now I can go into the Mini and go add a video source. And now I should be able to, there it is. There is the stream from the Pro. So we can also see the delay here. We'll add that. And there it is. So here is the live stream from the Pro, just doing the countdown. And it's only 1.5 seconds. That's really good. And that's obviously going up to the cloud and back because this is streaming only to Yololiv's cloud. And this one's pulling it down from their cloud. So that is super cool. Now I've got a, now I can switch to that or, to my face, or I can even do on the Mini, I can even do like a side-by-side. So I can say the one YoloBox, which imagine that's like out in the field somewhere. And I got my USB video here. And then now I've got my side-by-side view in the Mini. Oops, can't mix audio between USB and non-USB. That's one of the limits of the YoloBox is the audio mixing. So I can, if you'll want to use an HDMI source instead for that. Let's do that. Let's get rid of that. Oh, maybe we can just edit. Reselect screen. So I'm going to use HDMI and live stream and done. And now I should be able to go into the audio and turn on, yeah, both. So both HDMI audio and live stream audio are enabled so you can hear both people. And now I've got the side-by-side from both, which is super, super cool. I love it. It is. It is, in fact, amazing. I don't have a recommendation for a bonding device because I have not had to buy one yet. So I haven't really used them. Sorry. I do hear a lot of people using the LiveU stuff. So 2 cell modems plus Wi-Fi plus Ethernet. That one seems to be the go-to for everybody. I have not personally used it. But you know who has, though, is Tech Condo, who I saw in the chat a little bit earlier. Trying to find where was that? That was, there we go. Taekwondo, who joined fashionably late, has more videos about live view stuff. So go check out Petra's channel. Bailey says YoloBox Pro is 1,800 Australian. That seems extremely expensive for what it is, considering I can get all the features that it includes with the ATEM Mini and additional products for under 1,800. It's two different ways of looking at it. If you want to put together the kit with the ATEM Mini and other gear, then yes, that's fine. Keep in mind that especially as they've been adding features, they're adding more and more stuff that makes it do more and more things all built in that you would have to now add even more external gear. So the like remote guest feature, for example, in order to get a remote guest into a stream, you pretty much have to have a computer right now. And you probably already have one, so sure, not an extra cost. But if you don't have that yet, then yeah, gotta go find a computer that's gonna work for that. It's got all the built-in graphics generators, which a lot of it is not in the ATEM. So you now need another computer for graphics generating. It just starts to add up. And that's, again, in the studio here, that is how I do it. I have a bunch of stuff around here that is all bits and pieces all connected together, but I'm not going to take that with me out of this room. It just is not portable. And that is one of the reasons I like the YoloBox so much, is because it just does it all in the little package. Even just video playback, like you need a hyperdeck for that or something, right? Or an iPad is a good one too. If a single camera streaming remotely from different cities while traveling, is there a compelling reason for the Pro over the Mini? I would say probably not, honestly. This latest update to the Mini made it basically exactly what I wanted. It is tiny. If you only are going to plug in one camera, then you can now still do all your graphics, your overlays. It's even got the web overlay source now, so you can bring in a web overlay for graphics. Built-in countdown timer, built-in music, built-in video playback. With the new switcher tab, you can play SD card videos. The only reason you would want to get the Pro is if you need more than one HDMI input. So, like again, the big limit with the USB on all the YoloBoxes is the audio can't be mixed with other sources. So, this actually goes really well with an ATEM because you plug this ATEM in here and then you only have one source and you do all your other switching on the ATEM. That's cool. But if you did want to do multiple audio source mixing with the YoloBox, then go with the Pro because you get the 3 HDMI inputs. What are the other differences on the ports? Let's see. It's got both audio in, it's got headphone out, Ethernet, HDMI out. Oh, there's an extra USB port on the Pro, but I don't think that is that much different in practice. This one only has the USB-A. There's no USB-C other than for power. Oh, one other thing I should mention about the Mini, big difference is, oops, I hit the power button accidentally. The fan is on the back, whereas on the Pro, the fan is on the side. The fan on the back means you cannot put it on a desk or it will overheat. So don't use it like this because then you block the fan. That's bad. So you pretty much have to put it on something, which is why we have this stand. That link is below. So this is it's in the PK1 stand family. It's designed for the YoloBox Mini and it just sits in here. You can also get a cage. We don't have a cage for it, but there is the YC Onion makes a cage for it if you want to put it like on a camera. It does have a tripod screw, so you can just put it on things itself. But for a desk, just get the desktop stand for it that we have, honestly, because otherwise it's so tempting to put it down. I have done that so many times when I was doing demos early on before we had the stand done. And no, that's bad for it, very bad. Yeah, this is the, we're gonna put it like that so it can still vent. So this is the, it's got the little cold shoes in case you want to mount stuff like a microphone to the back, but it's got a short aluminum bar to hold the two parts together and two screws. So it is pretty quick to assemble, just two screws, little rubber feet, and it just rests in here like that, and then keeps it off of the desk. The only downside is it's not the best for shooting overhead because it's at an angle and I want to show you a straight on view, but that's its job is not being a stand for shooting it overhead like I'm doing. Its job is to make it so that you can actually use it. Here, this is a little bit more realistic. It's actually a lot nicer to use it at this angle too, compared to flat on the desk, because it's just awkward when it's at this angle. So this is a lot nicer to actually use on a desk. Yes, my YoloBox Mini is sitting on a PK1 stand, and it is not a prototype. It is live. It is available. I'll drop the link in the chat also. I have it's actually on this website. Okay, I'm gonna make my Stream Deck buttons next. That's the next thing I'm doing. This is the stand for the Pro, stand for the original, and now the stand for the Mini. So you can find all the different links to purchase here, and they are available right now. I have the Mini and the Feel World 4 input. Is there any reason to go for the Pro? Again, the only reason I would say that's a great combo because, again, you get your multiple video inputs and then you use the Mini for just the graphics and the encoding. The only reason I would go for the Pro is if you're getting tired of lugging around the other switcher, which the Feel World is not super big, so that's great. But if you're getting tired of lugging that around, then the Pro has more things that it can do built in because it's got the HDMI built in. Oh, one of the other reasons is if you want to do side-by-side views, because you need multiple video sources into the YoloBox to get the side-by-side views. So by using the YoloBox Mini just as the encoder part, you're limited in terms of the layouts because you can't do any of the side-by-side layouts in it. Do I think Yololiv would make a bigger switcher like the YoloBox with 4 HDMI and 4 SDI and maybe even NDI that would take over the market? In my opinion, it would be great. It's a tough one. I feel like it's a really tough one because I think one of the reasons the YoloBox does so well is because of how portable and how simple it is. So like you can do an awful lot with the Pro with the 3 inputs, and with the Mini with just the 1 or now 2 inputs. Going bigger than that, it's a different market, right? It's like people have different expectations of devices that are going to have 8 inputs, and also having 8 inputs means you're already bringing a lot more gear with you anyway. And I don't know, I feel like it doesn't, the strength of the YoloBox is how portable and how small and how standalone it is. And if you're going to bring 8 cameras, then the difference between a YoloBox or an ATEM Mini Extreme is a lot less at that point because you've already have to bring so much stuff with you. So I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. Oh, this was back to the remote stream on the Yolo. So you could ship out a YoloBox Mini and a camera to a client and then add them to your stream. Absolutely, yeah. So if you sign in on the YoloBox Mini and ship that out to them and tell them what to do, which is basically plug in the camera, press the go live button, then it will be streaming to your, you can pull it up in your main YoloBox, which is super cool. Do I think 4K can be a firmware update on the YoloBox line? I think probably not. I wouldn't hold out hope for that. I think it would require, I don't know if the HDMI chips, for example, support 4K in there or not. So if they don't, then there's just no way to do it. Even if the chips support it, the additional CPU required for 4K is probably too much because they're already pushing the limit of what they can do with the hardware, like with the CPU. So I would not hold my breath for 4K in the current lineup. I just got the Mini. I'm glad they integrate your recommendations. Now we are asking for edge-to-edge borderless screen on the Mini. Do you mean like, so the screen doesn't have like the physical screen, or is it like in the stream? How hard is it going to be to adjust your web overlay to work with the YoloBox? I don't know. I've done one overlay with it so far, which wasn't too hard. I just had to figure out the size of it. Let me see. It's the one that I use for the bike live stream. So that's the one that puts the little, I keep pushing that button when I grab the stand. It's the one that puts the little, here, it's kind of annoying having side by side. There we go. So it's got the clock, it's got the map of where I was, the speedometer over here. These are all parts of the web page. And it wasn't very hard to build that when I planned for the size of the YoloBox web page. The problem is that my current thing has a lot of hard-coded things for how big it expects the web page to be, so it really doesn't work. But that said, they did just update this, and maybe it works now, because I saw mentioned in the firmware updates of optimizations for web overlays. And if I can just pull mine up. Oh, I need to give it the transparent background. Where is the question mark? And let's go with 1026, height 576. So that's the size of the browser. And then if I do that and show it, let's see. Go to the overhead, and then if I show a comment, it should show up. Nope. Okay, I've got some work to do. I don't know why it's just not even showing up. Does the... Yeah. Oh well, I've got some work to do. So, okay, I'm in a church streaming a funeral, and I'm using the guest feature in the YoloBox Pro, and I want to get the audio out to the mixer. How do I do that? It doesn't quite work that way right now. So the YoloBox is the video switcher, and it expects to be doing the stream itself. So the audio comes into the YoloBox and gets put into the program audio. So it's not like if you're streaming from the YoloBox, everything's fine. But if you're trying to do all your audio mixing in a separate thing, it's not really going to work. This is one of the reasons I want them to build that special device just for remote guests. I'm thinking a device that's the same size as the YoloBox Mini, but it gives you like a line out of just the guest's audio. That way you can put it into external mixers for venues and things like that. It would be super, super cool. I know when I mentioned this last week, a lot of people mentioned they would also like that. And I think this is another very good use case for it. So if that is something you're interested in, comment below, drop something in the chat, and contact Yololiv, because the more people that ask for it, the better. Jules says, in essence, you're saying if you got Yolo Pro and Yolo Mini, a field report can be to another location with these two devices for under $2,000. Honestly, you don't even need the Pro, because you can have Mini to Mini do it. Oh, I just saw my poor web page. Your name is showing up in the bottom corner. It's so big. The web page thinks it's the wrong size by a lot. But I saw the comment show up there. I was like, what is that in the corner? But yeah, Mini to Mini, where if you only have one camera for your studio, or if you're doing the rest of your studio mixing in hardware, then you can use the two YoloBoxes to just link the two sites, which is very cool. Is 4K streaming really that important with the additional bandwidth and cooling that would be needed? See, that's my opinion too, and I don't think it is, frankly. I don't think that the benefit of 4K is worth it most of the time, given how much other things it complicates. So that's why I don't stream even this show in 4K, because I don't want to have to deal with upgrading everything to do that. Ooh, Max says, I don't see the chroma key feature in the new 1.2 update on the Mini. Good point. It may not have that because, let's see. Go to the video. I keep saying I'm going to make that Stream Deck button, and I don't do it. Oh, wait, no, it's there. It's the little person icon in the corner. So if I do that, keying switch. Let's do that. I do not have a good green screen, but it's doing a surprisingly good job of keying that out. There it is. I would probably rather, let's see. Oh yeah, to add a video background, add video source, picture in picture, right, okay. So I can go add video source, picture in picture. I can use the live stream from the other YoloBox, which is still going. Here, I'll make it the countdown start again. There it goes. And then, oh, come on, next subscreen is that one. And then we're going to no border, scale. There we go. Look at that. Now I am keyed out. Oh yeah, audio mixing. Okay. I am being keying my horribly unevenly lit background, doing a pretty good job of it, on top of a live stream from the other YoloBox, which is over here. So if I change that, then we'll see it over here, which is pretty cool. Yeah, good job, Yololiv. What a cool thing. Yes, the YoloBox Pro is still streaming. Still going strong between those two. Yeah, all right. Let me build these companion buttons because this is getting really annoying not having them. Where is my companion? Good, the Raspberry Pi is running. Okay. I want my super source. I think I still have that saved. Yes. So I need to connect. Okay, I do have the Constellation 2 connected in here, but I don't have my buttons programmed for it. So I've already done that much. And I don't want the TV Studio disabled and the Extreme is disabled. Great. So my main buttons are on this page, which I believe is 9. Yeah. And these ones were all ATEM Mini Extreme buttons. And I need these to be, I guess I'm going to need more of them because I've got a lot more than 8 now. Let's see, that gives me 16. I have 20 inputs, so I should probably give myself 20 buttons. Although maybe realistically I don't need all 20 because I'll make a dedicated page to 20 because these are like the ones I'm going to use most often. But let me go find an empty page. Oh, I have to redo all of those. Those were all the, oh my gosh, okay. Oh my gosh, so many pages of buttons. Teleprompter, hypertext, YouTube, there we go, 34. I don't like that number. Let's find a better number. 37 is a better number. Constellation HD. So I should be able to use the presets to do most of this work quickly, where I want program in ME2, and then I'm going to drag all these buttons over here. So I have 20, so I'm going to do a 5x4. Do I want 5x4? I think so. and then 6, 7, 8 is the computer, 9. Oh, see, this is no, this doesn't make sense because I'm never going to switch to some of these because some of these are 11, 12, 13, 14. Some of these are like the hyperdeck, fill and key, which I'm never going to switch to because those are just for the graphics. So this will be my like, oh, I messed up. Oh my God, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Oh no, it's fine. Okay. So this is, for example, Ultra Studio Fill. And this is the Ultra Studio key, which I'm never going to switch to because that's the thing that is used for my chat. Those are just part of the downstream key. So I don't need those buttons ever. Same with Hyperdeck Fill and Hyperdeck Key. That's for the Stinger. What is this? Is that labeled wrong? Oh, Hyperdeck Plus, Hyperdeck Plus. Yeah, okay. Which I don't always use for graphics. I only sometimes do, so I may want to switch to those. Anyway, we're going to call this my like debug page, but it's not going to be the one I use for the show. But let me go make a shortcut to that. So back on page 1, which is my home page, I'm going to go make a new, I guess I don't have the ATEM Extreme anymore, so we're going to call this Constellation HD, and it's going to jump to 37. And now I have a short way to always jump between that. Oh, I need a button for super source on page 37. So go back to program to, I need super source, and now I can go back there. Okay. So now I can cut quickly between those, but I am going to go back to page 7, no, page 9, and redo these because I do want the most common 8, let's say, that I will use in a show easily at hand. And I want to keep all my colors, so I guess I'm going to delete the actions and redo them that way. Constellation, how am I going to program? Is this going to take too long to do that? It is. I think I'm better off changing the background color and using the presets. Just trying to speed through making these. Program. Okay, so camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, camera 4. Yeah. 5 is where I've got the wireless connected. 6 and 7, I guess I'll put those in here. This is the Magewell, the 2 Magewell devices right now are in 6 and 7. And then the computer is 8. I don't think I have... Oh, 11 is actually... My multi-view is wrong. 11 is the wireless camera. It's funny. Great. And then I will change the background color on these. I wish there was a way to change the background faster on all of these. So this means this is the page that I use for most of the show. And some of these buttons, I need to reevaluate them because I definitely don't use all these. But this lets me do now much faster going between the, oh, super source I didn't fix yet. Presets, program, super source, and great. Okay. Oh, and I gotta change that red. It's awful. Let's go change it. Pick my muted red and then go grab a slightly darker version of it. Okay, and then we do that for the rest of them. I wish I could copy and paste styles. anybody knows if there's a better way to do this. I just don't see any way to do it. So this is going to be much better. I should have done this at the beginning of the show. But eventually I'll reevaluate the rest of the buttons over here. Probably don't need some of them anymore. Like stream day. I'm not going to need that one. And I'll need to do, these are how I show you the multi-view or changes on my screen. So I'll have to figure out a new solution for that because it all works totally differently now because I can't change aux outs. You know, I may end up getting one of the ATEM SDI cheapest ones just to be able to do that kind of stuff. And yes, 12 minutes till Lily's stream. So after this, you should fix my buttons. Okay, maybe we do this next week because I actually want to have Lily join this stream and we can talk to her while maybe we can do that from a YoloBox at home. Maybe that's the easiest way to do it. Do a YOLO to YOLO stream. Anyway, I'm going to have her join, walk through the buttons on her screen, then on her stream deck and actually get those working the way that she wants because they are a little messy right now because it started off with, this is hers. So it started off with me running the show in person there. So I had the button set up that made sense for how I would do it. Switching, I have like, you know, these different pages. So here's like, actually this is all changed now too. So it's confusing what these do. This is not a good first page, for example. The main one that she uses is page 7, which is this. And it's also the small stream deck, so we don't use the extra buttons. But she needs more buttons than even this screen. So we need to do some work on this, yes. But I think that'll be fun. That's a good topic for next week. And next week we can try a remote guest feature using some technology to bring her in here. And her stream is right after mine anyway, so we can get it all set up and then she can go and do her stream. She says, I will take notes this week about what annoys me. Try to find the donut ratings. Oh yeah, that one is confusing. So the one shortcut is if you press this button on the stream deck, it jumps back to the first page. And like it's super not obvious because this is like the title of the page, but if you're navigating between pages, it's awkward. Here, I can go to the emulator. So if you're navigating here, it's really hard to find the donut buttons. But if you press that, it always goes back to the page 1. And then there's the donut button, which I don't remember what page number it is. So I don't know how to find it from. But that's how I navigate on my stream deck here is, here, I can go to mine. I have my main page is like the places that it's just navigation to other pages. So I have the show, then I go back here and I go scenes, power. So here's the different lights. And this is how I can turn off like the background light, right? Or I go to the web presenter page and get the on-air button up there. Or when I was using the TV studio. So I always go to a page and then back home. That's how I've set mine up. And I like that model a lot. Again, like you can make it work however you want, but this is how I like to do it of like, here's my router, here's I don't have the matrix plugged in anymore, but here's the matrix pages. So I'm always jumping between a page and then I go back home and I go to another page and I go back home. So that's how I had to kind of set this up too. Except these are the buttons for the, oh, she's starting the on-air. I think it's reflecting her actually pushing these buttons right now because she's about to start the stream. But that's how I'd set these up. So like you go to the main page, you go back home. You go to the donut page, you go back home. Yeah. Anyway, we'll get that sorted out in a way that makes more sense. Probably makes more sense to have some more buttons that actually do things on this homepage for her, and then be able to link out to other pages like the donut page from there. But we will do that later. So with that, let's see. Any other? A Stream Deck Mini just for donut ratings would be cool. Stream Deck pedal for hands-free donut enjoyment while rating it. Yes. Did I sell the SDI Matrix? Not yet. I don't know. It may still have a home here. I'm not totally sure. Because again, I need to use the 4ME or the 2ME more before I'm ready to totally give it up. Because there are some differences. Like it doesn't route audio. So I think that's okay. Like my guess is that it's fine. I don't need the audio routing, but the we'll see how that actually plays out. Speaking of, since we're almost at time, I do want to just make sure that I have plugged this. We are going to go head over to Lily's stream after this, assuming that we can get it to work. Did I break it? I can't seem to go live. Well, let's take a look. I didn't change anything from last week, but I should be able to hop over to that ATEM from here. What is the IP address? Do I remember it? I think it's that. Yes, it is. And let's just check the stream key. That looks right. I will press on air. What happens if I press on air? Nothing happens if I press on air. Interesting. It's on the network because I can see it. This is that ATEM Extreme at home. Stream key looked right. I don't want to show it to you, obviously. It's just not going on air, which usually means the only fix is to reboot the ATEM. So I don't have it on a remote power control, so you're going to have to do that there. It's true. The day is coming when the two streams will be in the building. There's a foundation out there right now. No house yet, but it's starting. The power, since Lily is watching the stream, the power for that is under the desk plugged into the right side. It's a big giant power brick. Looks like a big version of this, and just yank that out, plug it back in. Let me save startup state before that. I don't know why it's, there it goes. Oh, power is cut, and here it comes back. Oops, that's mine. Let's connect back to that one, assuming it's back on the network. Not yet. Suspense. I would show you the what's happening when I press the button, but the Blackmagic doesn't hide the stream key in the software control, so it would reveal the stream key, which is not great. Max says, I started a test stream directly to Facebook. When I stopped on the Mini, it kept looking for a signal on Facebook, and the live feed didn't stop right away. Took 10 minutes or more. I'm not sure what you mean with that. I would like to see you somehow get the audio from all the video sources into the mixer and manage audio routing there for flexibility your video sources have. I agree. That is with the MADI digital interface between the two. So the 4ME has it, 2ME does not. So I will be doing that on the 4ME. And she got the stream back up and running. So we are going to go head over there right now. When I press the end stream button, it is going to redirect your browser. Otherwise, you can click the link that I dropped in the chat. But she's going to be talking about the corporate minimum tax, which I'm super curious about. So I want to make sure that I get over there too, because I have questions. So thank you all for joining this stream today. Next week will be fun. We'll do some live Stream Deck button building. And yeah, I think that's, is this working? I did, see you all next week. And yeah, we've got more things to talk about next week and more features of YoloBox Mini to look at too. So I will see you all there. Goodbye. I don't have a button to end, so I will just end on YouTube. All right, thanks everybody. See you next week.